It's 11:47 p.m. You're in bed, phone in your hand, and you're about to open your bank app. Then you don't. Not because you're reckless, not because you're irresponsible, because you already know what you're going to see. A number that doesn't match how hard you've been trying. You went to work. You paid the bills. You didn't buy anything crazy. You said no to things you wanted. You did the adult stuff. And somehow, you're 30, broke, and tired in a very specific way. Not tired from work, tired from thinking about money all the time. In this video, I'm going to explain the real problem behind that feeling, and it matters because once you see it clearly, you stop blaming your character for something that is mostly about order. Here's the core idea. If you're doing everything right but still broke, the problem is usually not effort or discipline. It's that your financial life has no margin, and without margin, even good decisions can't compound. You can be responsible and still be stuck if your monthly baseline costs are too close to your income. That gap, the margin, is the entire game. And most people never build it on purpose. Most people believe this. If I work hard, avoid dumb purchases, and pay my bills on time, I should be fine. That belief is reasonable. It's also incomplete, because it assumes that personal finance is mostly about avoiding mistakes. In reality, personal finance is mostly about creating room. When your rent, car, insurance, groceries, minimum debt payments, and basic life needs consume nearly everything you earn, you are not failing. You are operating a system with no slack. And a system with no slack turns normal life into constant instability. A tire problem becomes a crisis. A medical copay becomes a setback. A slow month becomes panic. So what actually matters isn't whether you're good or bad with money. What matters is whether your life has margin built into it. When there's no margin, your brain changes how it works. This is scarcity psychology. Think of your attention like a small desk. When money is stable, your desk is clear. You can plan, you can compare options, you can think in weeks and months. When money is tight, your desk is covered in urgent papers. Rent, gas, food, minimum payment, a text from a friend about a wedding, a dentist reminder, your car making a sound you don't want to hear. So you do what any healthy brain does under pressure. You narrow down to survival decisions. You stop thinking long-term, not because you don't care, but because your mind is trying to keep you safe. This creates 3 loops. Decision fatigue. Every purchase becomes a debate. Your willpower gets drained on basics. Anxiety avoidance. You delay checking the bank app, opening bills, or looking at totals because it spikes stress. Shame paralysis. You assume the problem is you, so you stop asking structural questions like, what has to change for this to work? That's why being broke at 30 can feel confusing. You're not lazy, you're overloaded. Now the order. This is the sequence that changes things, even if your income is not high yet. Step 1. Before you budget, you must define your baseline. Baseline is the cost of staying alive and employed, not your ideal life, not your social life, not your best month. Your baseline is housing, utilities, phone, insurance, transportation to work, minimum debt payments, basic groceries. If you do not know this number, you are guessing your way through adulthood. Step 2. Before you try to save, you must create margin. Saving is not a personality trait. It is leftover money. Margin comes from only 2 places: lower fixed costs, higher reliable income. Not perfectly tracked spending, not guilt, not cutting lattes as a lifestyle. You create margin by changing the big, repeating numbers. If housing, car, and debt eat your paycheck, your budget becomes a weekly apology to yourself. Step 3. Before you attack big goals, you must build a small buffer. This is not a 6-month emergency fund yet. This is a starter buffer, one small layer of protection that stops the constant emergencies. For many people, that's $500, then $1,000. The purpose is psychological and practical. It reduces fear. It reduces chaos. It reduces the need to use credit for every surprise. Step 4. Only after you have a buffer, you automate stability. Auto-pay the essentials. Set due dates. Create a simple system that doesn't require daily willpower. Because if your money plan requires constant attention, it will fail during stressful weeks. Step 5. Then you become aggressive with high-interest debt. Not with panic, with a plan. High-interest debt is a margin killer. It eats the gap you're trying to create. Step 6. Only after margin is stable do investing and wealth building start to matter. Investing is powerful, but investing without margin is like trying to plant seeds in dry soil. The order matters more than the tactics. Let's translate this into real life. Work decisions. If you have no margin, the right job is not always the job that feels meaningful. The right job is often the job that stabilizes hours, stabilizes pay, reduces commute costs, reduces burnout. Because stability creates margin, and margin creates options. If your income is inconsistent, your first financial goal is not investing. Your first goal is predictability. Spending behavior. When people are broke at 30, they often blame random spending, but the real pressure usually comes from fixed costs, like rent that quietly climbed, a car payment that was just a little too high, insurance that increased, minimum debts that never go away. So the first spending question isn't, what can I cut this week? It's, what is the largest monthly payment I can reduce in the next 90 days? That might mean renegotiating insurance, downsizing a car, changing living situation, pausing subscriptions, yes, but only after you've addressed the big ones. Saving behavior. If you can't save, don't make it a moral issue. Make it an engineering issue. Ask, where is my margin supposed to come from? Then build it intentionally. Even $25 a week into a buffer changes your nervous system over time. It's not the amount, it's the message. We're building protection. Risk tolerance and opportunity. When you're broke, everything feels risky. A course feels risky. A job change feels risky. A move feels risky. That's not because you're cautious. It's because you don't have slack. Margin is what turns opportunities from I can't into let me look. When you internalize this order, you stop calling yourself bad with money. You become someone else. You become the person who knows their baseline number, who protects their buffer, who makes changes based on recurring payments, not guilt, who measures progress in stability, not in perfection. And here's the biggest shift. You stop trying to feel motivated. You start trying to feel clear. If you're listening and thinking, this is exactly me, I'd be interested to know one thing. What is the biggest margin killer for you right now? Housing, car, debt, or inconsistent income? Naming it is often the first moment of control. The most common self-sabotage is this: trying to solve a margin problem with small discipline tactics. This looks like tracking every penny for 2 weeks, then burning out, cutting everything fun, then rebounding with a spending binge, trying to invest while using credit cards for emergencies, taking financial advice from people with a completely different baseline. It happens because when you feel behind, you want a fast fix, and your brain wants relief, not structure. But the calm way out is not intensity, it's order. One baseline number, one margin move, one buffer, then automation, then debt, then growth. If you're 30 and broke while doing everything right, the takeaway isn't that you're doomed. It's that you've been trying to win a game without the one thing the game requires: margin. And margin is not a mystery. It's built on purpose in a specific order. You don't need a perfect budget tonight. You don't need a new personality. You don't need to finally get serious. You need one clear number, One structural change and a small layer of protection between you and the next surprise. That's how people become financially stable. Quietly, gradually, then all at once. If this brought clarity, you'll find more of it here.